Welcome, everybody, to the People, Purpose, and Profits Business Coaching Podcast. I am Brian Buck, and my wonderful co-host is...
I'm Kat.
And we are so excited today to reach out to our fellow business owners, small, medium, or solopreneurs. Maybe you're a coach, a consultant, or it's just you doing something. And we want to talk about courage. So, Kat, what's the difference between courage and confidence? Is it the same dang thing?
To a certain degree, it is. I just think that courage is actually taking the action even when you don't feel certain about what you're going to do, about the way you look, what you have to offer. Because usually with courage, there's a lot of doubt in the back of your mind. But because you have a mission that's deeper and it's bigger than yourself, the action becomes second nature. And it's so interesting because growing up, I had my mom. I was always looking up to her. And she seemed like this person that never, ever, was scared of anything. And then after, I was in as an adult, I asked her questions. And the reason I'm asking is because you brought up the two with the confidence, and she was showing that confidence and she was showing the courage, but underneath, she actually had a lot of fears. She had a lot of doubts, and yet she was able to go out there and just crush it. So I'm interested to find out, in your opinion, what do you think builds courage?
I don't know who says this, but it's that whole courage is acting even though you have fear. And I think it's that, I think when we talk about resilience, that came up a little bit, is getting up. It's doing it anyways. And I think what builds courage, one is you're only going to build courage by expressing courage. You're never going to get courage meditating. You're never going to get courage just stopping. And it's not going to just magically hit you. You've got to do it to get it. And I think courage is like a muscle. The more you do it, the more courageous you get. I would even maybe say, this is now thinking in the moment actually, is maybe courage is what builds confidence. I think confidence is other ways you can get confidence, but I think by taking courageous steps, you start to get confidence. Because what I have found in courage is you say, even though I'm scared, I know I can handle it if it blows up in my face.
I like that.
And I think as business owners, we start to really begin to trust ourselves that no matter what happens, we're going to be able to navigate and it's going to be fine. It's going to work out.
Absolutely. And, for someone, I always share my story about anxiety because it's just so powerful. Because I was this person that was constantly, doing things. I felt fear. I can't say, I was fearless, but I still, did a lot of things, yet I think I was underestimating what I was doing. I wasn't paying attention to wow, how great I am or how much courage I have. And then when I started dealing with anxiety, getting up in the morning, speaking about what hurt without feeling guilty, it was the courage that I saw differently. So I'm curious to ask you, how do you see courage showing up in business? How do you see it showing up in your personal life? Maybe what are some variables, like I just expressed right now, what are some variables of courage so that people understand it's not just one thing?
Yeah, I think a little bit in like the Brene Brown stuff. I think being authentic is courageous.
Oh.
It's really saying, man, these are the things I fear. These are the things that I struggle with. And really putting that out there and being our true selves, that's scary at first. I was even thinking, the flip side of courage is maybe cowardice. I think of the cowardly lion, where we're just stopped and whether we aren't giving our full self. But what I find is courage is always rewarded, even if we don't win, because people connect with courage at an emotional level.
Absolutely.
And even when it doesn't work, people will say, "You were so brave for doing that. Thank you for doing that. And even though you didn't get the outcome that you wanted, I have a better connection to you." And in the world of business, in where relationships now, it isn't just about who has the better product and the better price. It's about who do we like, know, and trust, which is a relationship. And by being courageous, by sharing our true selves, people connect with that.
Absolutely.
And so that is important. And so many people, I think about storytelling and movies. I love movies. What are the stories that encourage you? And it's when you see people being brave and you kind of, you go, I want a little bit of that. We keep
Right.
watching people rising to the occasion and doing things against all odds. And that courage is what we want. And instead of just fantasizing about it or reading about it or watching a movie about it, it's something we can live
Agreed.
and do
And
it.
and I love the fact that you brought up authenticity because I think that's probably the most courageous thing to do for yourself and for the people around you. And in my experience with clients is one of the things that we work on is getting clarity on your authentic self. And once
Hmm.
that happens, courage, it becomes almost like a second nature. It's not easy, but it becomes second nature. And once you step into that authentic self, then profits literally grow. It's just
Hmm.
so amazing. Right, what happens, it's just this loop, and once
Yep.
you get in it, it's it continues to grow. And once you are in it, then you express it to others and you encourage others to also be authentic. It's such a liberating feeling, and it's such a great thing to do and witness. And I couldn't speak about this unless I went through it, because
Yeah.
that was part of my journey as a coach and as a human being, was discovering where am I, who am I, why am I here, what am I doing to help people. And I encourage our listeners to ask themselves these questions, to find out who they are and to understand what is costing them if they don't have the courage to live their life and have their business their way, because it
Yeah.
can be costly.
Yeah. Well, o- if not costly, definitely limiting. Like as you were talking, I was thinking, what's the
Costly.
competitive advantage do you have if you're being someone else? None. You're another version of the same, but versus what's your unique thing
Yeah.
and how you react, how you connect. That is what gives you competitive advantage, which then lets you really create an empire of people who love you for you, and you can express yourself for you. So yeah, so that authenticity piece is so
Right.
critical. And I think about where you also, as a leader, want to help people by letting them be courageous, is you have to go first.
Hmm.
You have to demonstrate that. And I think about when all the people and the organizations that I help with change management, one of the things that I base a lot of it on is um, I call it honor the fear. What's the fear people have of this change? Because we need to see what that is, because maybe our brilliant project plan didn't include that and we probably need to address it. If not, how can we help people feel confident in the change? And I had this conversation with someone last week, and she was saying that she worked with a lot of men, and he says none of these men would own any fear that they have. I don't fear anything. What are you talking about? We don't talk about fears. And they, well, you could use the word what risk, or where do you see things could go wrong? So maybe you don't want to use language of fear, but the problem as a leader and in your business is if people don't feel courageous to be themselves, they aren't sharing what's critically important, because either their fear is real and they're not telling you, and you're going to spend all this time and money and you're going to launch a project that's going to backfire, or you're going to be replacing your team because people are going to leave and go, or they're all going to stay and not be productive. Cy
Right.
Wakeman talks about there's two kinds of debate. All change is debated either before or after at the water cooler, going, what the hell are they thinking? And that will be your team unless you help people be courageous to say, here's the things that they really fear or how they really feel about it. When I was in the corporate world, this is a huge lesson for me in I had someone who had some ideas that I just didn't agree with. And when I tried to talk to him about it logically, it just wasn't going. We were just butting heads. But when I say, here's what I fear for our team and our customers if we went with this, it changed the conversation. So authenticity, being courageous, and putting that out there really makes a difference. And as a leader, as a business owner, if you have people reporting to you, you have to demonstrate that to give other people the courage to do it themselves, because they won't do it unless they see you doing it.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. And I'm curious to find out because sometimes I see courage as speaking up, but sometimes I think of courage as being quiet and listening. What comes to mind when I say that to you?
Um, I think you still need to give everyone the opportunity to give a voice and find a way that they can do it, because there's some people, especially some introverts, um, they don't ever feel comfortable expressing it. And so you have to work on what is the best ways for them to be able to communicate. Like, where do they feel safe to do it?
Right.
Do you need to have an anonymous survey where people can put in their stuff? Is it a one-on-one? Do you need to, especially if you're a higher level leader, do you need to have their supervisor or lead gather it and then share it? So there's a lot of different ways, but and I think putting it out there is you've got to let people know that if your voice isn't shared, we're not reading your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you never put it out there, we're never going to know. So we can't do anything about it. And you therefore give up your right to go to the water cooler and complain later, because we are giving you multiple. The flip side is, there's another thing. I almost want to say it's Cy Wakeman again, and I believe this is you have two choices whenever there's a change: support it or leave. There's no let it go through and talk bad about it, resist it, all of these little things that we do afterwards when we don't like a change. And so as a leader, we need to have the courage to be able to say this way or you're gone. And that's okay. But we can't be a jerk if we didn't have the conversation before to give people so I always like to couch a little bit of that. Don't go so extreme, my way or the highway. It's got to be, I'm going to listen. You have the opportunity to give your voice so we can respond to it and react to it. But and then you can get to, because we're leading towards, you get to choose to stay or leave and support it.
Absolutely. And, with courage, and I'm glad you brought it up. I don't want people to get the impression that just because you're courageous, you have to talk down to people. That's not really what
No.
courage is about, right? And I do see that sometimes there is, a confusion when people think, well, just because I'm courageous or I'm confident, I come across this way and I want things my
Yeah.
way. But the reason why I brought up, courage is speaking speaking up or is courage is also listening is because I think we're evolving and businesses start paying attention to the people that they have in their businesses, the resources. So when we choose to be courageous and listen to others, we give them the opportunity to bring different ideas, to bring, new ways of looking at things, and it can be so beneficial. So don't be afraid also to listen for the feedback, and also have the courage to take advice that fits you, that fits your business, fits where you're at, right?
Yeah, and I'll add to this. I actually have an unshakable confidence course, which I should probably offer to our listeners. But one of the things they have in there that I put in there is what's the difference between arrogance and confidence?
Well, the arrogance is probably, I'm thinking, is people who are arrogant try to make others feel small.
Right. Yeah. Arrogant people always have to be above, where a confident person, they could prop up others. A confident person can use humility. A confident person can listen. A confident person can be challenged.
I love that.
Arrogant people don't like any of that stuff. And part of that is I think there's some people who don't express their confidence because they don't want to be seen as arrogant. And so I like to help people see there's a difference to that and how this ties into courage. We says courage is really how you express confidence. It's the action behind it, or at least how you're building confidence is through taking action. So I think when you're talking about the not listening or any of that stuff, those are all arrogant, ego-driven
Right.
behaviors. And you're absolutely right to call out arrogance is not confidence or courage.
Love it. So we were taking it and we're turning it and we're turning it. But no, it's crucial. And especially if you want to have a business, if you have a mission, if you want to connect to people, sometimes, courage just means, like I said, picking up the phone, talking to a person, offering your services, because I see a lot of coaches actually really struggle with this. They really struggle to put themselves out there because they're the ones beating themselves up before anybody has a chance to even hear what they're doing and how they're doing it. And it's really sad because I do believe that more and more people are starting to wake up to the potential that is within them. But courage needs to also become a part of their identity and a part of their daily practice and their daily skills in order to have a successful business and be able to actually serve people.
Well, and I love what you're saying too. And the phrase that just keeps coming to mind as you're talking is be bold. Courageous is being bold. It's going, I've got an idea. I'm hearing this, or I want to react. Sometimes we just need to boldly do it. And so often in the show, we talk about it isn't about the goal, it's about the being. Who do we need to be to get to the next level in our business, either as a consultant or a coach or a small to medium-sized business? And it takes boldness. It takes us to say, I'm going to this market, I'm launching this product, I'm calling these people, because by being bold, things happen. Things start to create and come around, and even if you don't make it, we talked about the Toyota Kata, even though you didn't reach where you want, you're going in the right direction. And it's that boldness that's going to help you, that courage that does it.
And you know what I want to bring up, because I do think, and I've heard this quite a bit with coaches, when I do bring up being bold, they think that you have to be loud and you have to be like obnoxious. And the truth is not, is the conviction with which you speak about what you're doing is what really boldness is. So I wanted to clarify that for our audience, so that they don't get trapped into the word play, because sometimes we have certain words that can be very encouraging for some of us, and then there can be some words that can drag us down. So if something in the language that we use isn't really working out for you, pick the word that really speak to you and make you feel the things that we're expressing from different angles.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to that authenticity piece too. You know, if you're not the loud, boisterous person, when we
Right.
say be bold, doesn't mean don't be you. Like you've got to be
Exactly.
you. It just the strong version of you, you know, the one that trusts yourself to take the action, even though you have fear, even though you might not have. Here's the other one: take a step, even though you don't have it all figured out. That's
Hmm.
courageous.
You know, that's how we step up. And you know, they say that the stairway doesn't show up, it's just one step at a time. And
Yeah.
you know, taking those steps, then you start looking back and you see how far you've come. But if you stand still and you don't give yourself the chance to even try it, then you know you're gonna look back and you're gonna regret it. So you can either have the joy of trying things out, because trying things out in themselves is a win, is courageous.
Hmm.
Or you can have the pain of, you know, regret. And it's really interesting because most of the people that reach the end of their lives and are being asked about, you know, what they think about their lives or what they regret, is they always say that they regret the things that they didn't do.
Yep. Yeah.
So choose today to think about how you can show up courageously and what kind of difference you can make for yourself and for the people that you want to impact.
You want to know one thing that doesn't take courage? That is to subscribe to our show on YouTube and to also listen to us on your podcatcher of choice. It also doesn't take a lot of courage to join our Facebook group where you get to interact with Kat and I and other listeners. And we also have a Facebook page to be able to get updates and when new episodes come out. So we are so excited to have this wonderful audience. Thank you for your ongoing courage and your transformation. We are here to be able to help encourage you, to give you some skills and some knowledge and some value that's going to be able to help you not only grow your business, but we know you're growing your business because you want to make an impact in the world. And that's why Kat and I are here, is to be able to be a part of the impact that you make. So thank you,
Absolutely.
everybody.
We'll see you soon.